Was it just me, or did that sound like Professor Utonium as Morgan Freeman?
This time, you knew the truth.
I swear, that literally sounds like Tom Kane as Morgan Freeman, like he's doing the audio dubbing on this. Who knows, maybe he did, but, I don't know, I just kind of saw that when I was watching the trailer again. But welcome to Time About the Movies, everybody. Today we are taking a look at the two films that make up April 19th, 2013, and as you can tell, we're not really doing our normal format of doing the intro and all that. We're just kind of going along here because we only have two movies to look at here. And we can be quick on these as well, including starting off with our first film that we have here, and that is Oblivion. Based off of Joseph Kosinski's unpublished radical... I don't know what the hell's going on there. Based off of Joseph Kosinski's unpublished radical comics graphic novel of the same name, the film pays homage to 1970s sci-fi as a love story set in 2077 on an Earth desolated by an alien war. A maintenance technician, played by Tom Cruise, on the verge of completing his mission, finds a woman who survived a spaceship crash, leading him to question his purpose to discover the truth about the war. So this is Joseph Kosinski's follow-up to Tron Legacy, and this is also featuring, as I mentioned, Morgan Freeman, Olga Kurylenko, and also Andrea Riseborough, Nikolaj Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones, and Melissa Leo in the cast as well. And this is one of those movies where on a visual and technical level, it looks great. This movie was in IMAX, and you could definitely see why they put it in IMAX, because it is beautiful to look at. The visuals are very impressive to look at overall. The story department is where the film really does kind of fall apart, because, yeah, like with a lot of original sci-fi films in general, this is the script overall is kind of a mess overall. It's trying to pay homage to classic 70s sci-fi, which you can definitely see it in the visual aspect, but in terms of the story, yeah, it's pretty weak overall. But then again, a lot of the stories in these 1970s sci-fi movies were not that great. Sometimes you get a good one here and there, but most of the times that isn't the case with a film like this. It's kind of a boring movie too. Even with the impressive visuals and Tom Cruise doing the best he can to hold it together, the film itself is kind of boring in the scripting department overall. It's just not an engaging film. It has some great visuals to it, yeah, like I said, but at the same time, we always talk about it around here. Visuals don't always make the movie in general here. And at least Tron Legacy had a story to tell overall with it being a continuation of the Tron series. But this, characters just show up for no particular reason except to just be there to move the story along. The story itself is really nothing new we haven't seen done before. Yeah, on a technical level, it looks great. At the same time, though, it doesn't help that the movie's overall kind of bland and mediocre. And I don't even think a good scriptwriter could really save this in general here, because really, like I said, it's a hard thing to do to make an original sci-fi film that works very well. We've had examples of it working with District 9, for example. But to get one of those, it's like finding a needle in a haystack. It's like really, really hard to do. And for a film like this, it's almost there, but the script overall is just such a mess that it really needed an extra oomph to really be something unique and original to make it stand out. But as it is, it's just a bland movie in general here. A great-looking movie with the actors doing the best they can, but other than that, though, that's really all you got to say about this movie in general here. I was actually kind of let down going back and watching this again, because I thought it was going to be better after time has gone on, but it really is not. And Tom Cruise will be in a much better sci-fi film the following year with Edge of Tomorrow, which that movie does what this movie kind of fails to do in the scripting department, is take something that we've seen done before and give it its own unique edge to it overall. But, yeah, so up until then, we got this film, and not a bad movie, but not a great one either, so take that for what you will. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our last film that we have here, and that's Rob Zombie's latest film, The Lords of Salem.
So you finally rented the dreaded number 5.
Oh, I hate to break it to you, but there is no person in number 5.
Ooh, scary. That's pretty much what you get the idea of in this movie here. It's a better Rob Zombie movie than Halloween 2, but it really isn't saying a whole lot. So this is Rob Zombie writing, producing, and directing this film, and it focuses on a troubled female disc jockey in Salem, Massachusetts, played by Rob Zombie's wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, whose life becomes entangled with a covenant of ancient Satan-worshipping women. It's about what you expect for a film like this, and you have a cast that also includes some notable veterans of film like Bruce Davison, Ken Foray, Patricia Quinn, Dee Wallace, Maria Conchita Alonso, Meg Foster. So a lot of notable names in here, and like I said, it's a better movie than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, but at the same time, though, it is kind of a jumbled mess overall. And again, kind of like with Oblivion, a lot of stuff we've seen done before. I'll give it this. At least this one feels more like an homage to those classic 70s horror movies than something like Oblivion was to classic 70s sci-fi. You can definitely tell Rob Zombie's getting a lot of inspiration from those classic films of the day, you know, stuff like Argento and Fulci, that type of stuff. You see it in here. And I'll give him credit where credit is due. It does create a nice atmospheric flow to it overall. In terms of being scary and all, it's not really anything like that. It's mostly kind of a forgettable film. But I'll give him credit that he was at least trying to do something that was different and get people back to what made Rob Zombie the unique director that he can be. Because he can be a really... Toy boat. I cannot speak tonight for some reason, but he can be a good horror director, and we've seen it. Even with his Halloween movie he did, the first one, you could definitely see the unique visual style he has to it, and that one worked for okay. This one kind of feels on the same wavelength here. I'm not really much of a Rob Zombie movie lover, but I do like what he did with House of a Thousand Corpses and The Devil's Rejects. With this one, it's okay. It's nothing spectacular, nothing amazing, but it's definitely a lot better than his last movie. So take that for where credit is due. So yeah, not much more to say about that one. That is The Lords of Salem. And thus, with all that said, we wrap up another episode of Time About the Movies. We'll double the amount of movies next time around to wrap up April with Dwayne Johnson and Mark Wahlberg starring in Michael Bay's Pain and Gain. Certainly one of his better movies, in the fact that it's not an overblown Transformers movie that's over 3 hours long. It's actually going back to his kind of roots with Bad Boys and all that. We'll touch on that tomorrow. We'll also take a look at the ensemble wedding comedy, simply titled The Big Wedding. We'll see Matthew McConaughey in one of his big movies for 2013, Mud, from director Jeff Nichols. And we also have Kon-Tiki from the co-director of Tron Ares and Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Man Tell No Tales, and Maleficent, Mistress of Evil. Did he do that? Yeah, he did. They did do that one. But we'll take a look at those 4 films coming up tomorrow on the show, so be on the lookout for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please go ahead and do me the honors of hitting that like button, that subscribe button, and that notification button. Also, don't forget to check out our playlist. Don't forget to check out the previous episode we did. And stay tuned for Time About the Movies Flashback coming up later tonight. I'll post that once I get this uploaded, so stay tuned for that. But with all that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. And whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.